Smart ban there for Fortnite. Aurelia are actually going to be banned here for Dial Scion, the next one there as well. Some very targeted bans this time around.
Well, they don't like these tanky frontline people in front of their Callistas, apparently, do Fortnite, and who can blame them? Both these champions disregarding damage from turrets completely and getting massive in games earlier today, so some adaptive bans. But the frontline tanking mem, only Malphite left up now.
I mean, maybe Maokai there as well. Hasn't seen too much play, I guess, but you're right, there's not a whole lot left going on. We'll see what Dials want to take for their third ban now as well. Don't have too much longer to decide what they want it to be, and it is going to be Wukong. Respect given there to the Fortnite jungler.
It's been a real rough time for Naya. He's really struggled. He's tried the pocket picks, the Wukong, of course the Sejuani we just saw, and they're just not working for him. The stuff that worked, there was the standbys of his champion pool in the Challenger Series, really struggling to make those work. So I'd like to see him move back to a meta jungler. Maybe he needs to move back towards the Jarvans and Lee Sins of the world, but a targeted ban targeting his champion pool. We're waiting for him to kind of step up to the OPL and give us a really big game-winning performance from the jungle, because Naya and Moya are the cornerstones of this lineup.
Yeah, CJ kind of plays clean up there as well, but Cassidy in the last ban there for Fauna makes a lot of sense. A pretty good champion, but that might just give Perfection one of his best performing champions so far in the OPL. That is Lissandra Hover.
It's worth knowing that we're on 5.2. Look at some of the champions that made it through this pick and ban. With the Hecarim, Scion, Aurelia, and to some degree Nidalee, or the Wukong especially, all adaptive bans. There are some massively strong meta picks on 5.2 available here. Ari's worth a mention.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think that favors the Dials as well. Fauna have definitely been known for playing a little bit more of their own style, and if the powerful picks are going over, they're going to go over to the Wolves here, because Fauna just don't play as many of them.
Well, they're going to return to one more of these pocket picks, at least with this hover. I heard some audible groans in the background. They want to see the Amumu. It's won them games. It's not out of the realm of consideration. We just saw Sejuani, another off-meta pick that's not very popular. So there's still the potential. Speaking of meta, look who's back. It's Lucian.
Yeah, Lucian, Janna the lock in there for the bottom lane by Fortnite. And that's interesting with Kalista open there as well. CJ did not have a bad Kalista game, despite the loss there in the last one. So, pretty interesting here. Very aggressive mobile AD carry. Does fit his playstyle.
They could have picked, Morgana, Kalista quite happily here. Had the defensive option. They've taken away some of the super tanks. The Vi was still available, but picking up that blocker Morgana, that was an option. But they're going for something that was strong maybe a few patches ago. Of course, the burst from Lucian has been nerfed. Lucian is still very relevant. He's still a good AD carry. He's just not the oppressive lane bully he once was.
Yeah, gotta love the Direwolves Udyr hovers there as well. Clearly a shout out to the manager, Rippy, a very well-known Udyr player around the scene. But Direwolves are going to take some different picks most likely into their next picks. They do go with very strong ones as well. Morgana for support, and that's a jungle Jarvan.
When I see the Morgana, I have to think.
Oh, that's true. Never mind.
I have to think there is the potential for the flex pick. That's not actually what I'm alluding to. I'm saying, look, Kalista's still available here. No reason they can't pick it up here for the Direwolves.
I mean, Fortnite could pick it, potentially, if they wanted to take Lucian mid and get a throwback to Claire, former immunity player. But, yeah, we're probably just going to see a different pick here coming through. And Fortnite, it seems like whenever they, have a rough time, and again, they haven't won yet, so it's been kind of rough in the early stages. They seem to want to default back to their comfort picks more and more.
I mean, Moya had been on a lot of his meta picks, as non-meta picks, the Nidalees and the Orianas of the world. Oriana, of course, kind of a woman for all metas. She's always around, but has kind of fallen away, especially in the OPL, has really been struggling to pick up a win. Went with the Xerath, a very meta pick last game, and kind of got dismantled by Cheese's Swain. So maybe just back to the Oriana for a bit of comfort.
Yeah, Oriana, and an easily Sin there for Naya. So that's probably my favorite adaptation of this draft so far for Fortnite. Just taking a more aggressive jungler for Naya.
They still kind of lack a ball carrier. Their damage is okay. Lucian in the late game can tank bust. He's kind of unique in that he's a lane bully and to some degree a tank buster, although his lane bullying was what's been targeted by a lot of the recent adjustments to him. Kind of seeing his, you could argue, superior friend hovered over in terms of Graves. It feels like Graves is a slightly overtuned Lucian at this point. I'm excited to see the Tristana, but King, he's got all the options open to him. I think he's going to be the Kalista pastry time.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all. We've seen a lot of players just really love Kalista. Seen some play in the OPL so far, but not too much. And King has pretty much whatever he wants to do in this lane. Lucian and Janna, pretty safe to take almost any champion into here. And Direwolves going to have a few more seconds, but might look to get even more aggressive, actually.
Considering the Graves, I mean, we know Graves' laning potential. In a lot of ways, he kind of outclasses Lucian, so it does feel like he's going like for like here, and he's happy to duke it out with C&J, who might be, a bit on the back foot in terms of recent form. Look at this last lock-in. Diana top. They show the meta sometimes to Fortnite, but they always have a curveball for you.
Yeah, there's almost always a chicken, a champ. Sorry, I meant pick, and then I went to say champ. A pick there where, we had the Sejuani last game for Naya, and now we have the Diana here for Carlos as God. It all looks safe until the last pick, it feels like, for Fortnite.
So a lot of dive coming out of Diana, has decent wave clear. Diana does a lot of things decently. She always feels like she's one buff away from being really, really popular. This is 5.2, so her shield changes haven't quite come into play. Hopefully, I think tomorrow we're moving on to 5.3, so we might actually see a big pickup of Diana play. She becomes a bit more reliable with the shield. It'd be interesting to see the Diana versus Lissandra matchup in top will be very interesting to me. You can get some good wave clear, and potentially if you can wave clear and poke with that Q, the use of mana there can be very effective. But Lissandra's so much more reliable than Diana. She does one thing, but she does it so well. Does fantastically in lane, and she's all about CC in those fights.
I feel like the issue is that whenever you take a hypermobile champion into Lissandra, you just feel bad because you know you're going to get ulted.
Well, that's the thing, right? Hypermobile maybe is a little bit of an extension, but she does have that refresh on her ultimate. She is able to gap close well, but you're right. You can weave around as much as you like, but it's kind of the Lissandra versus Yasuo flavor, and it's very nice that you can jump everywhere, but here's a Frozen Tomb for your trouble.
Yeah, and that's sort of Lissandra's problem, why she's so strong. But a really interesting draft of both these teams. Love the play from Fauna, and we'd love to know out on Twitter, who do you think is going to get first blood this game? Use the hashtag 4NFB for Fauna or DWFB for Direwolves, and we'd love to know who you see, because again, the game's been pretty bloodthirsty so far, and this one probably no exception.
The champion select extends that. We've got Graves versus Lucian. There's going to be so much duking out in the early levels between those two. And the mid lane probably not going to be the first blood source, the Orianna versus Xerath, but always the potential with the ganking of Lee Sin and Jarvan. There's a lot of action across the board, a lot of AoE team fights coming in. I kind of just want to see Fortnite get a win, just because I want to see Orianna push up there and get a win finally.
Did Ari drop through the draft, by the way?
Ari did.
I think she did. That's very
interesting. 5.2 no less. This might not be a big discussion point in a week's time, but wow.
Sharp's been playing Ari as well, as far as we can tell. He seems to have at least been practicing it. It's not traditionally in his champion pool, but when Ari's that good, you probably put him in your champion pool.
And again, Ari versus Ori was one of those famous skill matchups for Ari many moons ago. With the adjustments, skill matchup becomes a bit of a misnomer. They're mostly in Ari's favor. Maybe just not confident to bring it into competitive yet.
Maybe. And the Xerath here is a very interesting pick for Sharp. It's obviously a comfort pick here, but what do you think of the matchup in general? Because for me, it almost feels like Ziggs versus Ori all over again.
It kind of is to some degree. It's the wave clear advantages with Xerath in the early levels, then it kind of goes towards Ori when she gets enough levels in either Q or W, and then again moves back towards Xerath because he can do it from 1,000 range once he picks up, say, the secondary big AP item like a needless large rod on top of a Morellonomicon. There's peaks and troughs to it, but in general, Xerath's going to be unhindered. Late game, who do you like, Xerath or Ori? It's pretty even. They do different things, but they both do them both so well that it's kind of a wash. I like the idea of the Ori, the Xerath combos with the Jarvan Cataclysm, though.
Yeah, there's so much good, just a solid team comp here for Dials, really. Again, we talked about the draft, had a lot of targeted bans in it, and that meant a lot of meta picks fell through. Fauna never really wanted to shy away from a curious pick or two, but Dials just picked straight up strong champs. Almost in every lane, they've got a champ you'd be happy to first pick.
Kind of the issues I have with Fortnite's comp is that Diana's the only real diver on this team. Lee Sin has that potential, but Diana's going to be looking to get in there on the Graves, on the Xerath. Frozen Tomb, if it's used for disengage, will be massive. So if Direwolves can get ahead in the early game, if they can get the dragon control, get the first two dragons, and then Fortnite feel forced to make the engages, engage against this Lissandra Jarvan combo is going to be painful.
Yeah, and that's why Lissandra's so good. She's basically free hard engage. Jarvan gives you a bit of that action as well, but Fortnite do definitely have some things to do, and again, a lot of the pressure feels like it's on Nia, because he has to get aggressive with this Lee Sin.
And he's someone that has struggled to step up. His scores show that. He's really struggled this season. There's no reason he can't. He was very good in the Challenger Series. He didn't go for the Amumu. He didn't go off meta. He stuck to the on-meta champion with the potential to really impact the early games, so hopefully he can step up and really make a commanding performance this game.
And what more can we really say about Diana top Papa Smithy?
It's interesting.
Yes.
I don't like the Lissandra matchup just because it's like, how do I ever kill Lissandra? You don't really. You can clear waves fine. She does a lot of things well, but as I said, she's always one step away from being super strong. Like at some points, she's a stronger Akali. At this point, it's about the same. They're both just off meta. With the changes, she might be relevant. Maybe we're seeing a preview of something we might see a lot more of, as she does have that decent bruiser stats, especially if you can get the refresh on your shield. But on this patch, on 5.2, I think it's overreaching for something that could have been maybe easier achieved with another pick.
Fortnite, at least, we mentioned it a little bit. I know you touched on it. They do now have a very good ball carrier. Diana's actually quite good at holding the ball.
Yeah, that's true. We were waiting for a ball carrier. It's an offensive choice. It does have potential. You do have the targeted engage, so theoretically you get some sick wombos going, but it's going to be tough.
No, we'll have to see what happens. We are about to get right onto the riff for our last game of the evening, and we are on now. Dials here going to look for a 2-0 today, and Fornot going to look for their first win here. Dials on the blue side, Fornot over on the red. And it's going to be a great last game here. Dials with a very strong kick-off, but Fornot always with the Fornot special.
Dials seem to be returning to invade for vision. They are posturing towards the enemy jungle. And Fornot, they're just looking to react at this point.
Yeah, I'm just going to try and set some things up. Moya will spot some people up potentially here. But Dial's going to get some pretty deep wards in here as well. Fornot not really around. They do see them, but can't really stop the big stack of Dial's players in towards the top side. Diana might have to be a little bit careful here as well. And Dial's will get all the vision they want.
Yeah, they're invading for vision. There's not an obvious lane swap situation coming, because if anything, they'd be happy to have a Lissandra versus Diana matchup. I think Diana would struggle more in a 1v2 than Lissandra. That's clear, given it's a melee champion whose wave clear in early levels especially kind of requires auto attacks to proc that passive. The Q damage at early levels isn't enough to really get the last hits, whereas Lissandra has wave clear for days, let's be real. So, not necessarily, but I mean, obviously you give yourself the most options if you invade for vision, because you can choose to vertically jungle, you can choose to try and go for a 3 buff, or you can just return to lanes with just that much more information about which side Naya starts on.
Yeah, I like the line of wards. There's almost a trail of breadcrumbs for Direwolves there. Kind of put them up in towards, all the way curling up towards the side of Fornot's red buff there as well. So plenty of vision, but it looks like we are going to break it into standard lanes here.
And we see King on the screen, of course. He's the man we're tracking this game after a wonderful performance early and just an amazing step up to competitive. Naya's going to start at the Gromp.
Yeah, looks like Grump there for Naya. CMJ going to help him out there along with Jana, and it's going to be the Krugs in the red, so same sides for the junglers. They'll end up in the top side once they're done.
Yep, so just very, very standard stuff coming through. In the top, the Diana versus Lissandra matchup. That's the one that is the most non-meta. In the very early, at level 1, if you can get a Q and then even just a shield and walk up to Lissandra, you can get a favorable trade, but we all know that once the wave clear starts to get really strong for Lissandra, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it just feels tough to stick to a champion with that has such a good AoE snare around her as well. I mean, Lissandra's short range, but Diana's unfortunately melee.
Soul Strike's just going to finish off his red. Starting up the jungle routes here, both junglers. Not expecting too many fireworks, but there is the potential for a big level 2 power spike in the bot lane, just between Graves and Lucian. Two very similar champions. Love getting that burst damage in.
Yeah, I'm almost a little curious as to why Naya didn't maybe want to start on the other side there. To maybe get in towards the bot side, because that might be where he wants to go. It looks like with the aggressive push though for Fornot, not going to get in there too aggressively. And Naya, if he wants to look for another game, could potentially go now. But even top lane's pushing.
And Soul Strikes, we remember the last game we saw from Soul Strikes against Legacy was 3 buff to start, so was very behind, but kind of picked up on some advantages with the Scuttle Crab. He's actually got himself in very good position for a gank.
Yeah, actually, this is bad news here for CNJ and friends. King actually kiting back nicely. CNJ does get ignited. The binding hits perfectly as well. And King, they tried to kill him, but he picks up first blood instead.
One thing we have to compliment Soul Strikes for is the flash EQ combos. He repositioned his knock-up with a flash right at the end. That's the flash used. Got the knock-up. The stun came through. And first blood to Direwolves. And who else but King?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great start for him. His GPM's already off the charts in the OPL. That's not going to, that's going to help him, but not help Fornot there. So possibly the worst player for them to give it over to it is their aggressive AD carry.
Yeah, and if we're willing to go so far as to say, oh, I was going to see the replay, just wait for the EQ flash. It's very good. He was going to miss it, flashed up. Beautiful play. And that's a sign of a good jungler, knowing your ranges so well on that Jarvan. Such a narrow knockup. Beautiful play.
Yeah, guarantees the binding there for Chopper as well. And at that point, CNJ, with all the mobility in the world on Lucian, nothing he can do. Naya does pop his head in the top, which is nice for perfection. He's definitely had a penchant for killing junglers when they walk into his lane.
Still had a penchant for racking up those CS values. It's not Hecarim this time, banned away. A different flavor of top laner. But there's no reason he can't start. Just, he's trying to ruin King's Parade, I think. He wants to get on that GPM chart, too.
I mean, Perfection's looked very strong in Dive's games, especially on Lissandra. His team fighting is absolutely exceptional on that champion. So, curious to see what does develop there in towards the top side. Mid now as well. Sharp here on the Zereth. Just a slightly tear against Moya. But Moya, thankfully, just having a calm lane. That's all Orianna wants.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are on comfort champions. It's just a comfort pick that's way in the meta right now, which is the Zereth against someone who's kind of struggling for relevance. I mean, Moya's big issue in this lane matchup, especially early, is that if she tries to walk up to get wave clear, A, the base damages on the spells aren't enough to get instant wave clear, and B, she's going to eat a lot of harass coming from Sharp. This is a person, excellent skill shots, as we see him, Moya juke into one of his Zereth Qs, and it's difficult as Orianna. She's not the oppressive long-range mid that she once was.
No, I mean, even the auto attacks, which are much shorter range than Zereth spells, can't really help. He was back down towards the bottom. King there leading on CS, trying to be a bit aggressive with the zoning, it seems. And
Speaking of aggression, though, the pickaxe already, the burst potential, they have to respect the Dark Binding. Here we go.
That was a very good binding. King, though, goes in. Zelda with a great NATO, though, prep. And the smoke tune's going to come through. King really wants to kill and will get it. Now C&J has to be very careful, and Chuffer just blocking as much as he can. King actually getting the heal bait, though, right at the last second, and Chuffer's going to get the next kill.
I've got to say, King holding on to his spells and using his summoners so intelligently. You watch that. He was exhausted early, got into melee range for a buckshot, but held on to that spell until after the exhausted worn down. Okay, he had to use his flash, but the results a double kill, and look who's just in position for a cheeky dragon.
Yes, 6-minute dragon or so here. Soul Strike's going to help. Looks like Nia's actually going to spot this off, so that's actually quite good. Good stun on that, they're going to shot. They know they have to peel. King going to go and gets the buckshot down, and there's the kill. Even leave it for the AD carry. That's a dragon for Direwolves as well. 4-0 and a dragon. 2,000 gold already in 6 minutes. The Direwolves are going off.
I think King is going to call Chuffer bot. I'd be surprised. No, he's trading on just the strength of his pickaxe here. I say this because he's sitting on 1450 gold. If he gets a couple more minions and shows up with a pickaxe and BF sword at 7 minutes, I mean, this lane is over.
That smoke screen was awesome as well. Just sniping the cannon minion away. Don't know what else we'd expect from the highest GPM currently in the OPL, but King, this man knows how to fight and farm.
I mean, every Dark Binding, once he goes back to get this BF, so it's going to be a confirmed kill just because the damage coming through from that buckshot scaling early is disgusting.
Yep.
And King, we highlighted him, and sometimes it's nice when things line up and he puts in a performance like this.
It really is such a strong performance here on Graves. You can tell Dials are even giving him the kills and the skirmishes as well. I did like that Nia checked the dragon, but unfortunately, face checked a little too hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's not worth harping on to the difference between a pickaxe BF sword against the Vamp Scepter, but problems in bot lane for
Needless to say, it's not good for the Fortnite bottom lane early on here. And I mean, you talk about the buckshot, but that ultimate when it comes online as well, it already does ridiculous early and mid-game damage.
Yeah, Fortnite have to... There's no point of even counter-ganking this lane for Nia. He pretty much has to just say, all right, you guys do the best you can farming, and I'll try and help someone else.
Yeah, and we'll see what it be. Perfection with his ulti now as well. Going to be a bit of a tricky target to gank mid lane. Not too bad actually for Lee Sin's early targets, but this is probably the nightmare scenario for Lee Sin. He wanted to get aggressive early, try and make a difference, but the lane's already going pear-shaped.
I mean, it's the nightmare scenario for Fortnite. They come into this 0-5, again, struggling to step up to the OPL, and this early game against someone who's on so much of a head of steam as King. You know, it could only be worse if it was Perfection, to be honest, after his performance last game. So, yeah, I mean, Direwolves are in a great spot here, and Nia is going to try and make something happen, but as you say, only really the mid is a realistic option.
We could see a Perfection continuing to farm up in the top lane, opening up almost a 20 CS lead, actually. Having a very strong lane. Carlos is going to get aggressive, but Soul Strikes have been called to the top lane.
He's going to fall to the top lane, but it looks like we're going to see the reaction coming through from Xerath as well.
Yeah, that's a good room there from Chava. Oh, never mind. It is a good room from Chava. Carlos is going to get ulted there. The stun to follow up. Knock up in there as well. A whole day's worth of CC, and Sharp gets the kill.
And the score, unfortunately, reflects the current trend here in the OPL. 5-0, just like the game scores for Fortnite, as Dials will keep pushing.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Dials being an aggressive early game team. This is an over-performance for them as far as early game aggression goes.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're just completely on top. As you told the story when you were talking about donating the kills to Graves. They know who they need to put the money on. It's the back of King, who's been so wonderful. And it's across the map. You see Nia is in a good position. They might go for the gank bottom, but is this what they want?
So dangerous as well. I mean, he is level 6, but King actually quite low. Nia might try and get the shot down on Chopper. Actually can be in trouble. That's a great teleport there from Perfection. Doesn't have his ulti there, but just going to keep them at bay. Chopper misses his first binding, it seems like, at the game. Nia almost going to get locked up. A good smite actually there to keep him safe, and Perfection going to keep running in. Does flash forward, gets the W. Chopper going to look for the binding. Does actually follow it late, and Graves not in range, unfortunately, for the rest of the damage. Now 2v3. Nia has to be careful. Black Shield there, not quite enough, and Lee Sin will get away safely.
Yeah, once for the first time in this first 10 minutes, King loses interest in picking up a kill. Just goes to cement the CS lead in bot lane. Roam there without ultimate did Perfection, so they didn't have the point-and-click stun. Does open up time for Diana to farm up top. She's 20 CS behind. The Negatron Cloak's a pretty good pickup. It double scales with her shield. Gives her extra effective health, because, of course, the health of a shield is affected by your resistances, so not a bad pickup. The Abyssal Scepter that eventually comes through will be a strong pickup, but might be too little too late.
That's very aggressive pottering there from Chopper, who looked like he was going to pull the trigger on the ulti under Tower. King does get exhausted there, the black shield down, but that might not be enough. Carlson's got down, so King just destroys Lucian. I think it's probably going to go down a good E from Diana, but what a play there, knowing he's dead, just goes in 1v3 for a kill.
Yeah, Chopper just manages to get get away from the shockwave coming through from Moya. The damage was confirmed. Flashes out, and that's a 10-minute Infinity Edge.
Yeah, the standard 10-minute Infinity Edge there for the Graves. I mean, they'll take the shutdown go, well, Fortnite, that's good they pick up the kill. They actually get the tower as well, so a very worthwhile teleport there from Carlos' goal, but the Graves is out of control right now.
Yeah, the counter pushing in top lane from the Lissandra does manage to get the turret as well. We see Lucian's going to react to that lane. He's not going to find any fun in bot lane, so it probably makes some sense to get the hell out of there.
Perfection a bit scary there as well. I mean, right now probably can't kill him, but if he calls anyone up to the top, it's a pretty easy kill there with the ult, but Perfection will back away instead, recognizing that a little extended there with the tower getting pushed out, so he'll wander back. Looks like he'll wander back in as well. It's a little bit alone right now. Has to maybe be a bit careful.
Does have the Frozen Tomb available. Probably not enough damage. Doesn't have like a Morellonomicon completed. He's going to go for the more defensive option in the Athenes, but it's just, you know, aggressively positioned just in case anything changes.
Double Dawn ring there as well, but nothing too out of the ordinary coming through. We do have a Sight Stone actually done for Soul Strikes in the jungle as well, delaying the Warrior enchant to get that, but does have one long sword towards it, so looking good. And King right now, I'm a little afraid to check, but I'm going to tap over to the gold real quick. Yeah, he's almost 2,000 gold ahead at 11 minutes.
Yeah, it's there's not enough time to really collect gold for that to be any larger. It's just so early in the game, a massive advantage. And now you can see Soul Strikes, he's the first one to adapt to this early lead. He's like, all right, I'm going to invade because I know that whoever responds is going to be just that much higher in terms of item power than the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, Chuffer at this point's even comfortably left King alone here. CNJ not very happy, has a 2-level disadvantage as well. King might just look for a dive here. Good burst actually coming through. That buckshot did an unreasonable amount of damage. The ult almost kills him on its own. He's forcing the heal, and King flashes forward, gets a crit, and gets another kill.
Yeah, there's just no fun across the map as Naya's in trouble as well.
Great kick there, but ulti from Perfection's going to lock up the kill. No friends, though, unfortunately, for Naya towards the top side, and things going from bad to worse.
Yeah, I'm grimacing a little bit. The damage potential, some of these Direwolves players, they're just so overtuned in terms of items to their opponent. CNJ isn't even going to find any safety under his turret, which is a scary spot for them. And honestly, he wants this turret to fall just to open up a bit of extra area for him to farm, because there's not many safe places to get minions on this map.
Yeah, King even doing a little bit of proxying here as well, just to get the turret low. Does last hit it, of course. The cannon's also going to go down, so just denying as well. I mean, this man certainly knows his way around lane mechanics, and there's no slouch in the fighting as well.
Direwolves just turning on the style. They haven't taken their foot off the pedal whatsoever. 6,000 gold at 12 minutes. That's 500 gold a minute.
That's unreasonable is what it is here as King and Chuffer will rotate in towards the Dragon. Ward does spot them out. Fauna actually some good coverage here around the Dragon area, but it is back and ready to go for Direwolf second. And Fauna, just with all the items and the disadvantage they have already, can't realistically afford to fight. Although Direwolf may be out of position, Fauna going to go for it.
Yeah, Fauna are putting everything into picking up the Dragon. It won't give them a gold lead. It'll give them some stats. The multiplicative advantage won't help them in the early game. It will give them, you know, a slight overtuned amount of stats, but look at King here. He's not willing to give it up just yet.
No, he's going quite aggressive, hoping someone walks back this way, but Fauna take the long way back towards their tier 2 mid lane turret, and they'll just have to back a bit. Naya, though, actually in the jungle. Hasn't been seen, but might get caught out. The Wolf Spirit, though, betrays King's position, and he'll walk out of the way.
Today I learned that the Wolf Spirit can navigate into unwatered bushes. That's good to know.
It looks like Perfection actually rotated down as well. Does have Morellonomicon, so ready to get aggressive. I mean, these item timing is going to be pretty out of the ordinary in general, but I mean, Dial's just looking aggressive, and rightfully so. They've got so much room right now.
Yeah, in a different game, the Abyssal Scepter pick up from Carlos' God will be a big point, just because it would confirm the early shockwave damage, and would mean that even though Moya hasn't got the nearest large rod going, it will be a big shockwave coming through, but Naya's in trouble.
Yeah, gets ulted there by Perfection. Sharp looking in there as well. Never mind, wasn't an ult, just a W. Perfection then uses the ult to pick up the kill for himself. King looking aggressive, kind of zoning out 1v4 right now with a bit of help there from Soul Strikes, and the Dial's going to pad that kill line.
Yeah, King hasn't been back since he picked up the Infinity Edge, sitting on 1,800 gold. He's just slowly sauntering around the map at about 330 move speed. Nothing happening quickly, but if anyone gets in melee range, they're in trouble.
Yeah, and again, continuing to pad the GP. Unfortunately, the King might have trouble getting that GP up, because this is probably going to be one of Dial's shorter games here, and we've said it, when they get aggressive, they just look unbelievable.
I mean, the
sometimes.
GPM will be fine, because gold per minute, don't forget. So he's actually doing great in this terms of this game. He sees a nice, juicy minion wave in the bottom lane. He's like, yes, please, I'll gobble that up.
Today I learnt maths. Thank you, Papa Smithy. As Carlos has got. We'll rotate in towards the top side now, try and clear out some minions for himself, and Fortnite really just push back against kind of the tier 2 ring of turrets at this point. Chuffer going to get aggressive. Just looks almost to steal the blue buff. Does actually go to Orianna. That's actually very important for Moya that he picks it up.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this game is being played around the middle, and Moya's been just fine. Like, it doesn't feel like Orianna's fallen off. She's even in CS with the with the Zereth. She's sitting on 1,100 gold, so not quite enough to match the item power spike of the Needle Sludge Rod. But yeah, the game's just being played around this passive mid. They don't have an Ahri to potentially, take this game by the skin of its teeth and actually get the charms and get the picks. They don't have a pick comp necessary, barring some amazing heroics from Naya. And that's kind of the issue from Fortnite, is that, where does the change in fortune start with? It has to be a big shockwave, but the item timings are just so massive from Direwolves.
Yeah, it looks like King actually went back as well. Going to go for a static shift second. Maybe actually a Yomu's as well. That would make quite a lot of sense in a game like this. But he does have an arrow point and a crit glove, so I guess he actually can't do that. In fact, that's a lot of early crit.
Yeah, I mean, he's working towards the static shift clearly with that build, so that makes a lot of sense. Not going to be the Yomu's Ghostblade to double down on the mid-game power spike static shift. Just a little bit more late-game scaling, just because you have the reliable attack speed and critical strike coming through from that item. I wouldn't have been surprised to see a Phantom Dancer, but the Lord of the GPM, Avarice Blade, makes too much sense.
Yeah, he does indeed here. Actually, it seems like King might have found Naya. No finds a Scuttle Crab, instead Naya able to shift away there to a ward with his W, but good ward coverage again. Direwolves not even setting up for a dragon, just making sure they hold vision, especially in the river, because this map right now belongs to them.
Yeah, I mean, if this was... I mean, in terms of wards, they don't necessarily have the wards to show how aggressive they can play, but Fortnite just know their ranges. They're lucky to get Raptors, in fact. They're stolen away by Sharp just there. And all they can do is 3-man, 4-man stack to clear out a single wave in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's just struggle street unfortunately right now as Sharp and Soul Strike's kind of rotate in. Looks like the bottom lane might be where they turn next to their attention. CNJ, thank God for the Jana Shield, actually managed to try and shake off some of the damage. Kingdom maybe looking to go in. Actually 1v2 right now, but looks like we might have a wraparound. No Moya going to move in there as well, but the rest of the Direwolves are here.
Yeah, they're trying to come in. They're clearing waves. They're doing their best, but they need to have 4 or 5 men to clear waves, so they can't even gobble up the minions in the other waves. So they're falling behind further and further in CS.
Yeah, and right now Soulstrike actually might just be trying to find a pick here. King was ready to go. Moya does spot things off. King will have the GPM set. They were trying to take some walls, but Soulstrike's going to get them instead, it seems like. Actually going into Naya, wants the kill, but doesn't find the knockout. Good binding over Chopper. Oriana Ball might keep him safe. The Graves ult goes in. Sharp gets the kill with an ulti snipe.
There's so many long AoE skill shots coming through. There was a collateral damage as well, just to add punch to the engager. Carlos has got, he's thinking about it.
Yeah, good flash out from Chopper getting out. King is going to kite back though, and so much damage coming out from the Zereth and the Graves. They're Sharp on a killing spree now. 3-0-2. King gets ulti, but he goes the wrong way. CNJ really wants it, but it's not forthcoming. Double kill there for Sharp with a great stunned appeal for his AD.
It's the base stats actually that keep King alive. He has 2-level advantage on Lucian. It would definitely have been a counter kill if it was a level 9, let alone level 10 Lucian. And yeah, when you play from ahead, when you have those individual outplays early, you can make positioning mistakes. It doesn't matter.
I mean, I don't know if that was a mistake. I'm pretty sure it was intentionally in the enemy's face at this point. Naya doesn't quite land the Q. Truffle will try and body block a bit here. And this is a very aggressive tier 2 turret push by Direwolf.
I don't know about correcting my flashing into a turret as Graves at half health at 18 minutes into the game as not a positional mistake, but I understand the flavor of what you're saying.
Fair enough. Well, he's definitely playing aggressively, and I think the flashing under turret might indicate that as well. Dragging back up in 35 seconds. Baron will spawn for the first time in a minute 20, and Fortnite kind of on life support, but they're fighting still.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they try and finish out this game, or if they're going to try and just like surrender at 20. I think there still is the potential to come back, but I think it's more important to them as a team new to the OPL, still trying to find their identity in this pro league, to play it out and just try and find out what little advantages or what little more information they can find in a competitive setting. Because it's one thing to play scrims out, win, lose, whatever your record is there, but the pro level is that next step up. So play it out and try and learn something.
Yeah, potentially still practice to be had there as well. And I mean, the big one you mentioned, Moyes Oriana looking fine so far. I mean, obviously going to be behind at this point. A death cap's now done as well for Zereth here. Even a Majai's onto Chuffa, who's, again, really representing the aggressive Direwolf's flair that we've often seen. He was the original Direwolf as far as aggression goes, and he's showing it off a little.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to stack up the AP, maybe help with the burst damage coming out from Graves. Graves is in a lot of trouble.
That's a lot of people chasing him down, but King might just go in. A good kick there, a great ulti there, and Naya going to get that shut down again, I believe. 5-2-4 now for King.
Yeah, you can't outplay that, Patient Time.
Nope, that's just too much good CC, and they use a lot of ultis to get the kill, but they get the kill, and he's worth a lot of gold, so static shift now done for Graves, but that actually might be the Dragon going to Fortnite. Yeah,
amusingly, he was actually over-leveled actually compared to his opponent, so they actually got the double benefit of the big gold bounty, but also the experience advantage. So it's one small step back into the game for Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, that's all they really need at this point. We mentioned that, play it out, still, feel your opponents out. They're very strong, clearly, given the way the game started, but no reason not to keep playing here. Chopper going to try and steal. Xerath's going to go in as well, but will be denied there. And CNJ actually going to get ulti. Perfection will clean him out with the Q and the W.
And none of this skill shots nonsense coming out from Lissandra. The flash ult, fine to pick up the kill. It's just, there's just so little for Fortnite to work with. If this was a different game, if they managed to push down another row of turrets and they actually have the minions pushing in aggressively and they can get some farm and Direwolves take their finger off the pedal, sure, there's a chance for them to get back in the game. We looked at the previous series where Direwolves had the scaling advantage and not much happened in the early game while we watched Hecarim farm up, and then the first team fight, they'd hit their item power spikes and they could change the game. It's not really the same flavor from Fortnite unless they have a miraculous death cap situation coming out of Orianna soon. Because they do have the potential for quite the burst of damage between the Abyssal Scepter and a death cap. But again, it's just waiting on that gold. 1,300 gold now for Moya. If nothing happens, if it stays the same lead or smaller, and the death cap shows up in the item pool, maybe they can look for a fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dials have so many aggressive item choices as well. Abyssal Scepter second for Perfection, going to follow the Melanomicon, so very aggressive there. Skirmisher Saber plus Warrior, the build there for Soul Strike's Jarvan, so really wanted to get aggressive. Death cap done, of course, for Sharp, and of course the 2 items done for Graves for what feels like quite a while now.
And the Secret Agent 007 Jarvan is coming through here. So it's been a very supportive Jarvan, but with the Skirmisher Saber, it says to me, he wants to get in on this kill score.
Yeah, he's clearly wants a piece of the pie that Direwolves have made for themselves here. And again, such a strong opening. Looks like Sharp actually might be able to catch someone out here. Soul Strike's going to go in. Zelda caught out here with the Cataclysm and might be able to ulti, but it's probably not enough. Sharp going to go unstoppable now. 5-0-3 on the Xerath.
Yeah, when the spells that you aren't maxing are killing people, that's a good sign that your Xerath's strong.
That's true. No ulti needed there for Sharp. And I know you use the word overtuned a lot, but that's the best way to describe the Wolves at this point.
Yes. Across the board overtuned. Is Naya also in a bad spot?
Good kick, actually, but the ulti going to come through. King, 1 crit. Didn't even need a spell. Might even chase CNJ out towards the turret. Gets the Revo. Collateral damage almost enough for the rest of their health bar there, but not quite here. And King will just clean up the rest of the CS.
I feel like King must have miscalculated his damage because he did the fade away after the collateral damage as if he'd got the kill. No dice. Has to back away. But Sharp gets it instead.
Yeah, Sharp's got the range there. I mean, King, short range goes, can't really get in there, but Sharp got plenty of range on the Xerath. 6-0-4 now on one of his comfort picks here, and it shows.
Now, 10,000 gold is the lead. 22 minutes into the game. It's worth noting, of course, on the late 4.2, 4.10 patches and onwards, with the Dragon changes, you don't have quite the same global gold coming through for a team, so it's a big advantage, and they're going to keep pressing it.
Yeah, I mean, might be an understatement there. Looks like tower dive is coming in. King around the back, though. Sharp's going to get the first kill. Carlos has got, though, looking for the shutdown. King happily zoning near the turret. Sharp's going to cut in the back as well. And the Fortnite pretty intelligently backing off there. Perfection still pushing in the top as well. Able to get that turret. And the Direwolves just, again, complete control of Fortnite's jungle.
Yeah, they have to outnumber massively here, the Fortnite, to be able to pick up those kills. So Direwolves just stick to their lanes. They had teleport available the whole time from Lissandra, but no need to rush.
Yeah, Perfection actually going to port out of his own lane. Castle got just late on the queue to cancel it here. Perfection going to get a safe recall. Bit of a long cooldown, but he gets away happily.
He gets away happily, can go add to his item advantage already concocted. Doesn't have enough for Needless Large Rod, so maybe walk towards the Seeker's Arm Guard. Makes a lot of sense given the standard builds. No one's really deviating massively from builds. I mean, maybe the Magi is a bit of an aggressive choice from Chuffer, but given his penchant for double kills on support Annie, maybe just an adaptation.
Yeah, I remember formerly he was the Direwolves AD carry, and he was very aggressive even on one of his trademarks, Tristana. King seems to have kind of risen to the throne pretty nicely as far as aggressive players go, especially in this game. He's casually sitting on 2,500 gold.
Yeah, there hasn't been many players in the Oceanic scene to step up so quickly to the top level play and kind of really push advantages. As we see Sharp, I'm not sure how much those ult bolts are doing. Didn't hit any of them, but probably a lot.
Yeah, Void stuff here as well. Going to poke there as well. And CNJ getting very low here. King might just line up a nice ulti to clean up that kill. If he face checks it, well, CNJ, he might even die here. And again, King just wanting to keep getting the GPM up. Apparently, maybe he heard us.
Yeah, I mean, Perfection and Sharp are running him close this game. Very high CS values across the board. I mean, you have to say Carlos' God and Moya are doing just fine, especially on a team down so much gold. It's only really CNJ that's struggled with this Lucian pick against the Graves.
And it was all the early game there. As Carlos got actually going to get aggressed on here. The ulti did come through for Perfection. Looks like Soul Strike's also quite low. It's all Perfection. That's the flash away. CNJ gets that kill. That's very important. But King running rampant there. Sharp is legendary as Lissandra cleans out Lee Sin and Xerath cleans out Diana. CNJ, no good places to run. We'll just try and keep the Wolves distracted and recall back. Zaldo could be in trouble as the rest of them are going to try and dive through. But King just going to try and push for a turret instead.
And they do pick up the kill on Soul Strike. It's only a 2-for-1 trade, so given how the game's gone, not that bad for Direwolves. But most importantly, the ranged auto attack is still alive, and they're going to try and push this in.
Yeah, King in a push. He doesn't have a vamp set yet, just the Doran's Blade, so not that much life. So I'm really wondering what item he's saving for, because he's approaching, yeah, he's done it. Almost 3,200 gold now in the bank.
I think he's just looking for the interest rates to change a bit, sitting on 3,200 gold. Maybe the wins will change sometimes later on the Rift, but he's not really in any rush to complete a gold to change his item.
Probably should have kept the Everest Blade then if that was his strategy, because, I mean, the gold's ticking up pretty quickly, but he's going to have to go shop one day. I mean, still very strong, obviously, with the 2 items, but King, don't let the 2 items fool you at 26 minutes. He's got a mountain of gold to push into.
Maybe going to be straight Bloodthirster. That's the only real obvious pickup that he could be saving for, barring the Trinity Force Graves.
You could see Trinity Force Graves. Good ult from Sharp as well. Cleans up another kill. Legendary now. I mean, if King's Graves dictate a lot of the early game, Sharp Xerath in this mid-game is unbelievable.
I mean, this is a champion that's been banned against Sharp, that he's performed consistently well on. I think unless you have the Ahri counterpick in the pocket, remember, Ahri did make it through picks and bans, went all the way through and was not picked on patch 5.2. If you don't have a good answer against this Xerath, his skill shots, there's a reason why he's been hovering around rank 1 in the Challenger rankings. He's very, very on point, especially on Xerath.
Yeah, Proficient and King finally going to go spec, spend a whopping stack of about 3,500 gold. Ghostblade Pickaxe is the choice.
So clearly it wasn't an item timing thing in terms of the amount of gold. He just didn't want to go the shop.
No, I mean, again, he wants to make sure the CS numbers stay high, I guess. Here's Perfection in towards the top side. Almost done with his Zhonya's now as well. A 200 gold away from completing it. Has the rod plus the arm guard there in the inventory. I mean, 3 item Lysandra, almost 3.5 item Graves at this point as well. 3 items Xerath on here, all at 27 minutes. Massive here. Carlson's God's going to go in, but I don't think he really likes what's happening. All the rest of his team is going to move in. A good A there from Perfection, but Naya's going to come in, and there's the shutdown. But the 3rd Dragon just goes to the Wolves instead.
Yeah, the 4-man commitment does pick them up the kill, but of course not any objectives to really speak of. They could try and 3-4-man stack onto this top turret, but they'd just be worried about the rotations coming through from this 3-dragon Direwolves.
I mean, Direwolves showing some respect. Actually pinged onto Baron. They don't have vision on it, but Fortnite at this point know that that would maybe be a suicide mission, given that if Graves walked in, they're all tanking Baron 1v4, he'd probably get a quadra kill.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of damage going on. He's doubled down on the mid game, like you said, with the Yomus, so his dueling right now is just insane. He's going to be able to sidestep any of the Lee Sin engage and just blow people away with the collateral damage.
I may have misspoke. It might have been that the Direwolves are worried about Baron. Maybe they wanted to do Baron at this point, given how much of a lead they have. That would not be an unreasonable thing here, especially at 28 minutes. Actually a pretty normal Baron timing. Ruby Sightstone done that for Soul Strike, so investing some pretty into health here pretty heavily. Giant Spell plus the Warden's Mail done for almost the Randuin's here as well. And Carlson's God's going to find King. That's a good ball there from Moya for some damage. Looks like Naya's going to come in there as well. Moya actually going to ride him in, but King and Truffle will get away, and the rest of the Wolves are going to come up here as well. Soul Strike almost going and gets ulted back into the wall, but now Naya going to kick poor King into the wall. King just going to go for the solo and gets a very easy solo kill there. 3-0 now for the Wolves after the next kill. Zelda just going to melt here. Sharp gets a double kill for 11-0-6 on the Xerath.
The 2 auto attacks and he was dead. CNJ is not going to last much longer, and this might be the game for Direwolves.
Yeah, let's make it a triple there as well. Sharp 12-0-6. Pretty good supporting active performance here from the Xerath. King maybe didn't need it, but all of the Dials playing absolutely fantastic today. And for once, Perfection is the least impressive looking player in the Wolves.
Absolutely, and that's, given his performance earlier, that's a big thing to say, but he was just almost a cherry on the top of what was a wonderful performance from the Dial.
Yeah, I mean, very strong, very aggressive, much like we've seen. King throws himself into the fountain for a little bit of extra. It looks like they want a few more kills there to pad the CS skills. Now they're actually going to get ulted there by Perfection, but actually Soul Strike does go down, actually. Sharp, Legendary, maybe he's the one who wants a bit more gold in his pocket, and the Wolves will not finish yet. Maybe playing with their foot a little bit here.
Yeah, the teleport's coming from Carlson's God. He's looking for the flank. They could get some exit kills. Perfection's dead. There's still 2 alive.
Yeah, I mean, Wolves should know better. If they're hunted, they should probably finish their feast, but Sharp instead going to turn and look for another kill. Good exhaust, actually. CNJ going to chase in. Sharp are actually going to get that kill, get a couple of stacks here, and now the ultimate coming through. Great dash from CNJ to proc it off. Carlson's got going to rotate around. The Wolves pay for a little bit of confidence there. Chuffer might even going to go down here as well. In fact, this could complete an ace very soon, but Chuffer does flush it out. Might be okay. No real gap closers left, so he'll get out safely, but a big overcommit.
Yeah, the boots of mobility just come through, so they cannot chase down Chuffer, but 4 kills and the experience and gold they picked up is massive. CNJ has to flash away from that Dark Binding.
Yeah, I think Chuffer poked his head out just quickly there. Now Carlson's God going to rotate in towards the side here as well. Probably Achille going on. Looks like CNG. Good dodge of the binding. Bit of outplay. Does get ignited. The pull is enough to kill him there. And Chubb will get a couple more Magi stacks.
We see King is in the mid lane. He wants to finish this game. They have a bare Nexus, so he is going to be taking more than one man to stop.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. He's got 4 out of the last Whisper done as well. Good damage actually done by Moya. He's done with his death cap. The ulti coming in, but King flashes over it. Gets the kill on the Moya. Now Naya in trouble. Actually going to chase it. He gets ulted in the face mid-Q. Zaldo forced to disengage with the monster. And King basically soloed 2 people.
I mean, just a human highlight reel is King with the amazing play. I love the flash on the Shockwave. You might expect them to flash backwards, but flash straight forwards, get in that melee range, buckshot to the face, and use the collateral damage to stop the Lee Sin Q that would have killed him.
Carlos is God. Oh, does Zombies at the end. But I think King's going to look for a smoke screen kill almost. Goes on a killing spree, Will King, after his last death. 10, 3, and 11 now on the Graves. And mid and hip's going to go down. Top's already been felled by the Wolves. Perfection going to go back in. Good flash W forward. CNJ can be in trouble. Sharp going to miss a few ulti-bolts there, but CNJ getting chased down there. Perfection will get the first kill. Not going to go down. Zalbo wanted it so bad, but couldn't finish off. And Moya and Naya trying to defend here. But the Dire Wolves here, just complete control.
And the death timers are getting longer. It's only 30 minutes in, but they're just around 30 seconds. They have to respect them a little bit here, Dire Wolves, but King's going to come back in.
Yeah, looks like Chopper going to use the ulti there. King moving in there. Good ulti actually on the Soul Strikes, but King will get the next kill. Does get it onto Lee Sin. A great stun, I believe, for Sharp to set that all up on the dials at 36 and 11 on the kills. King almost 300 CS in a 32-minute game is on, but he might just go over in the last few elements. The Nexus does explode there, and the dials put on one hell of a show.
That was quite the performance. They turned on the style. You feel bad for kind of heaping on a Fallout team who are now 0-6. They've still got a lot to work with. They showed it during the OCS, but it's been a struggle for them in the OPL. I think next week they have to really finally cement their identity, or any hopes of reaching those top spots are gone.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly seem like they're going from strength to strength, but, I mean, especially against a team like Dives who are playing like that, very tricky to come back from here as well. I mean, King just played... I don't know if that was the best game so far on the OP, because every game for him seems like the best game he's ever played, but that was one standout performance by both the AD and the mid laner.
I mean, it's easy to look good when you're over-leveled, when you have a pickaxe BF sword on a Vamp Scepter. Like, even in terms of sheer AD, that's what, 60 AD against 10. Like, he was in a position to do well, but it's the little things he does. It's why he's so impressive that he's come out of effectively nowhere, at least, from solo queue, and stepped up so fast with the individual mechanics, understanding of team play. I mean, it's the team participation in terms of the kills. Like, he's definitely rotating well and getting involved in 82% of kills, and he's an impressive player. There's a reason why we highlighted him. And another wonderful game.
Yeah, another great game then with the win for the Wolves. Let's recap the day results here as well. As we can see, Immunity vs Legacy picks up the win there for Legacy, and the Dials got their win there as Legacy played their second game.
Yeah, Fortnite couldn't get it to IM, and that final game we just saw, Dials double down on what's been a big day for them. They're now outright second place as they took it over Fortnite.
Yeah, again, some really strong performances across the board. The Wolves, the big winner of today, continuing an almost undefeated record there. I believe X-1 now as they're moving through today. Yep. So another great performance from them. Going to maybe kind of beget the loss to the Chiefs that they picked up, but if that's their only loss, they're feeling very happy.
Yeah, 5-1 in a good spot.
Yeah, really. So with that, of course, that's only half of the day. So let's check out the second day of play coming through for round 3 there as well. Here's our schedule for Monday, of course, starting at 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Rich Gang take on the Chiefs there for the first one, and then Chiefs take on Avant.
And the Rich Gang, they take on Sudden Fear, and we finish the week with Avant taking on Sudden Fear.
Yes, so some really strong matches coming out there as well. Everyone's excited to see the Rich Gang, but the Chiefs and Avant going to be back, and we'll see if Chiefs can continue, I believe, undefeated still.
They are still undefeated, and if you want to see how the standings shake out after today's play, if you want to catch up on the schedule or watch some of those VODs, there's been some great games in the OPL, both today and, of course, over the first couple of weeks. Go to oce.lolesports.com for all your OPL needs.
Yeah, great site there as well. The VODs are also spoiler-free, so if you don't want to get spoiled, make sure you have the direct link to the VOD page.
We just told them all the results, so maybe...
That's true, too. Hey, look, they're tuning in. That's a good point. Never mind. Well, you know what? It's all that counts. Tell your friend that didn't watch the game so he doesn't get spoiled.
Absolutely.
Or you know what? Just tell him how great the game was, because that was one hell of a day of OPL. But with that, we are done for round 3, day 1 here. We'll be back for day 2, of course, over on Monday. But for myself, Papa Smithy, Atlas, and our entire live production crew, we'll see you later.